my goodness, is this actually working? What in the heck? Let me make sure I have all my comments. So I'm trying something new here. Bear with me. I am live right now on YouTube and Periscope, which is Twitter Live, and I go live every single day on Periscope, aka Twitter. Oh no, it's not staying. Live right now on YouTube and Periscope. I just want to make sure I'm actually going to see comments through the software like I'm supposed to, because I'm a little worried that I won't see comments. Can somebody just here? I can actually do a test comment. Hey Tia. See, I saw my own comment from Periscope, but I didn't see Tia's comment pop up from YouTube. So I'll just try to keep track of both. That's actually surprising that Periscope is working better than YouTube. And also, if you're watching on Periscope and it's super glitchy because Periscope can't really handle high quality broadcasts, feel free to go over and watch on my YouTube channel. It's the same username over there. You're hearing an echo? Oh, sorry. It's because it's because I was watching my own stream. Here, let me just mute it. There we go. That should be better, hopefully. Hi John. Hey New York City guy. Wait, Wally, you changed your username? It's just WB now? Wait. Oh my god, wait, why does it say WB? It's actually your guys' names. It's actually showing me your guys' names rather than, oh, and I can block on here? Oh, this is awesome. So I'm using Restream.io to stream this, and I'm sorry. Oh, I should have used StreamYard. I forgot about that. I haven't multicasted in a while, so bear with me. I'm Taylor. Welcome to A Moment in Time with me. This is Next Juice. I go live on this channel every single day. We're going to be celebrating 4 years of every single day live streaming in 1 month. On January 5th, that'll mark 4 years that I've been live every single day. I go live every day with positive content to help people from all around the world to connect with each other. And I think learning, knowledge, anything that's interesting is super positive. It's one of my favorite forms of positivity, and I hope you guys like it too. My shirt moved. Yes, Josh, I'm really, really excited about this book review because I loved this book so much. If you want to see more of my book reviews, you can go to my YouTube channel, and I have a playlist with all my book reviews on there, because I do lots of different types of live content, as you can imagine, to come up with daily content. And if you just are interested in book reviews, you can look on there. If you don't want to sit here and listen to me ramble on and read all the chat, I also do written book reviews of all the books that I read, and I email them out for free. You can sign up for that at my website, nextjuice.com. Thank you for the thumbs up on YouTube. Oh, there we go. Josh's comment popped up from YouTube. I don't know why Tia's didn't. That's kind of weird. Oh my god! Heinz and Jenny, what is up? Hello! I know I saw they went live the other day. I meant to go in there, but there's just too many. Ew, what the hell? No, you're in timeout. What the fuck was that? Hi David, how are you? I don't want to hear that shit, poos. Don't be giving me any of that bullcrap. All right. The Ayn Rand Library, The Voice of Reason, Essays and Objectivist Thought by Ayn Rand. This book is amazing. So if you don't know who Ayn Rand is, she is probably the most prolific objectivist author of all time. I'm not sure if she invented the concept of objectivism as a philosophy or not, but in my mind, she's the mother of it. And she's just a prolific writer in general. She wrote so many books. She wrote fiction novels. She wrote lots of short essays and articles, and she was just a really prolific writer and thinker, and just someone that I really admire and look up to as someone who didn't just go with the status quo and really challenged herself and challenged the people around her. And I hope to emulate that in my life as well, and challenge everyone to use their brains and to think, like, before typing objectifying comments. Hi Matt, how are you? Hola Lopez. Oh my god, it's cool calling you guys by your names. This is crazy. All right, so this book is actually a compilation of different essays that she wrote, and it tells you about the different, like when it was published and where it was published. You know, like this article was published in The Objectivist, June 1966. So most of these things are from the 60s. and very early 70s before she passed. And there's a couple essays in here by Leonard Peikoff, which was basically her mentee, someone that she spent a lot of time educating and talking with. And he wrote some essays to kind of piggyback on some of the things that she wrote in here. And to be honest, I didn't read those. I was just interested in reading the Ayn Rand essays. And my next book I'll be reviewing is another Ayn Rand book called Anthem. I've done Atlas Shrugged, The Fountainhead, and The Virtue of Selfishness. My favorite so far is The Virtue of Selfishness because I'm not really big into fiction, but her fiction novels are amazing. Hey, Pat, how are you? Libertarian. Yep, she was a libertarian, I would say, as well. You feel like she's a conservative? Yeah, she would be an ultra conservative. She would criticize most conservatives. The Atlas Shrugged movies. Yeah, that's her. Exactly. So there was a lot covered in this book, but I would say that the best way to really summarize her thoughts and her philosophy is right in the first essay, which is entitled Introducing Objectivism. And she sums it up in her entire philosophy into 4 main points. And this is how she sums it up. Number 1, nature to be commanded must be obeyed, or wishing won't make it so. So that's objective reality and being bound by objective reality. And, it's kind of like the antithesis of the law of attraction, which is like, yeah, if you just believe it enough, it'll happen. No, yeah, you have to believe that it can happen for you to put the amount of effort required into making something happen, but you have to make it happen. You have to put the action in. So that's a criticism I've always given of the law of attraction. So she believes in the objective reality as the highest law. Second, you can't eat your cake and have it too, which is basic reason and logic in using your mind and being reasonable and logical in your behaviors, decisions, and speech. 3, man is an end in himself, which is about rational self-interest. I take rational from part 2 and self-interest because selfishness is a virtue according to her book Virtue of Selfishness, which I highly recommend, but it must be rational. In order for you to, morally, you are not required to sacrifice for anyone else. You have the choice to do so if you choose. However, you also can't demand anyone else to sacrifice for you. And so therefore, if you want something at the expense of another person, that's not rational, and it doesn't fall into this category. So the bad rap that selfishness gets usually comes from that, is kind of like sacrificing others for your own gain, and that would not be considered rational. Because if you believe that if someone else is worthy of being sacrificed, then why not you being worthy of sacrifice as well? And that's the opposite of altruism, which is the basic philosophy that I think most of the world abides by, at least the civilized and Western world, is self-sacrifice being the highest moral cause, which is the complete opposite of what she talks about in objectivism. So I'll get into that in a moment. So let's get to 4, which her politics are capitalism. Give me liberty or give me death. So freedom, free markets, free market capitalism. She does believe in small government. She doesn't get into it a lot in this book, but in Virtue of Selfishness, I have a hard time because I think if you give any group complete control over force, that's what they basically have a monopoly on force, that it's a slippery slope. They're only supposed to protect individual rights, yada, 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 but it just escalates to the things that we have now. So I actually go a little bit further down the rabbit hole, I believe, than she does, and am more of an anarchist myself, and I believe in private law and private defense. It's interesting you say masculine, Josh, because she also talks about in this book, the one thing that I didn't understand, and actually I quite disagree with and would love to discuss with her if she was still alive, is that she thinks that women should not want to be president, because a woman, the way that she put it is, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that the essence of femininity is hero worship, and finding a man who is worthy, or a person who is worthy of that worship and devotion and kind of contribution to. And I disagree with that. I think that's kind of bullshit. And obviously she's in the 60s, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure where that came from or what that really means, but it definitely is something that I disagree with. But it was like 1 2-page essay out of this 300 so page book, and the rest of it I found very strikingly true and was really appealing to my mind and this desire to challenge my mind and to use my mind as the highest moral calling, as opposed to some god or gods or nature, whatever it is that you put this like metaphysical value on something, but to say that as humans, using reason and using logic as our highest calling and pursuing our own rational self-interest and not sacrificing others to our interests is beautiful, and it seems so true, and it's something I'd never heard of before, and I haven't really found other people to believe in. But what we find with altruism, so I want to get into this because I think that altruism is kind of the root of all evil. Even though it's preached in religions, at least Christianity, which is the religion I'm most familiar with, as the highest moral calling. If you think of Jesus in the Christian religion, he sacrificed himself for everyone's sins, and that was the best, that was what God would do in human form, right? It's the highest moral thing that any person could do, would be to sacrifice themselves for others. And I think that's bullshit, and I think it's wrong, and I think it's extraordinarily dangerous for people to even believe that, because that means that their life is not as important as others. That and it even says in the Bible that, you know, those who finish last on earth will finish first in heaven. So therefore, if you want to finish first, if you want to be successful and happy and fulfilled and have the best eternal life, eternity, right? If you want to spend all of eternity, as apparently there's hierarchy according to the Bible, as the top, then you must sacrifice. You must be the lowest of the lowest. I don't know how you could quantify that. Maybe you should be subject to a lot of abuse, sexual, physical, verbal, emotional, financial. You should be living a desolate life, probably homeless, maybe being on drugs, you know, being a drug addict, you know, all these things that you could say would be considered, you know, what society views as kind of like the lowest and neediest level of human. I think that's not a good goal for people to have, is to let everyone go before them, and because they want this eternal life, and using this kind of concept of eternity and God, and saying that, you know, we know that this is true and that you must do these things in order to atone for your sinful nature. So what is sinful in many religions, and in kind of the basis of, I live in America, so Americans are generally have their foundations and beliefs built on Christian philosophy, and our government is built around Christian philosophy as well. God bless America is printed on our money, so on and so forth, and that's the Christian God they're referring to, not Allah or any other God, even if people try to twist it that way. So that means that most people think this, and most people think that altruism is the highest moral calling, is sacrificing yourself for others. So therefore, others are more important than you. Therefore, you're the least important, and you should have no self-esteem. Oh, and what is your nature? It's sin. So if you want pleasure, if you want things that make you happy, you should feel guilty about that, because really the only good thing is when you're sacrificing, when you feel like shit. You know, when you give up everything that you have and you have nothing, and you're living in a state of constant fear and insecurity. Now, do you think God wants that? If there is a God? Probably not, right? Who might want that? Maybe an institution that wants you to be fully dependent upon them for forgiveness and for eternal life, so that you don't have to burn in hell for all of eternity. You know, maybe they would have an incentive to tell you that your very instinct, your very nature as a human, the things that you want are evil and wrong, and you should spend your entire life keeping those things from yourself. And if you get it at all, you need to give it up immediately to people who deserve it more than you, which in my opinion, those people deserve it much less than you. You know, you work your ass off, you have all this money, and then that's sinful. You have to take that money, you have to give it to the people who haven't worked, because they deserve it more than you, because their value is based on their need. So the more needy they are, the more valuable they are. And I think this is where a lot of socialist thinking and political thinking comes in as well. Liberal thinking is, you know, we talk about politics, and they're like, well, what about the poor? And it's like, well, what about the poor? You know, you really think that we should just steal from the rich and give to the poor, Robin Hood it up, and that's going to solve all the world's problems? It hasn't worked yet. How long are we going to do this until we decide that maybe a free market would be more beneficial to the poor. Maybe having a competitive education system is more beneficial to the poor. And she gets into all of these concepts in this book. And I really recommend it if you're interested in philosophy and concepts such as these, and just if you're a big thinker, because it'll challenge your thinking at the very least. And I highly encourage those of you who are socialist or liberal and would never want to read a book like this, read it and let me know what you think, because I would love to have a discussion about this. If you don't value yourself, no one else will, not that, but not necessarily that no one else will, but if you're not going to take care of you, who is? By giving up everything you have and becoming fully dependent, you're only making the issue, you're sustaining the issue. So okay, somebody's in need. Okay, let me give everything I have to that person. They're good now, but now I'm in need. You haven't solved the problem, you only transferred it, Don't we steal from the poor taxes? You don't think that corporations and the wealthy pay more taxes than anyone else? Then maybe you're not paying attention. The more money you make, the more you pay in taxes. So the businessmen, the corporations that are so evil and the most horrible thing, they've been vilified throughout history, and it's absolute bullshit. It's completely wrong, and it's completely evil the way that we spin this. Business owners, corporations are not. Business owners, small, big, doesn't matter. Business owners pay the most taxes. They pay all of the paychecks. They give all of the jobs, and they pay all the taxes, proportionately so. Without them paying taxes, there would be no government. There would be no, even now, there's still, the government is so huge and spending so much money trying to take care of issues that it shouldn't be involved in, that it's the most massive deficit. It's just waiting to collapse. I don't know how much longer it can go on for. It's certainly not reasonable or logical in any sense. And what is the message that we hear? We need to sacrifice more. That will fix the problem. We just need to give more. We need more taxes, because the government is obviously this benevolent creature that will take care of everyone if we just sacrifice all we are and have to them. It's bullshit. And a socialist idea would completely destroy ambition. Why should I work any harder than someone next to me if we're going to get the same thing at the end? Right? We both work 8 hours a day. We get the exact same pay, but I bust my ass and they're on Facebook all day. I don't deserve more than them? Bullshit. I'm going to say bullshit a lot because it's so obvious. And I know most people don't think about this, but when they do, come on, you really can't deny just obvious basic economics. If somebody works harder, they deserve more. Who's more valuable to society? Somebody who is completely incapable of moving, speaking, functioning, using the bathroom on their own, eating on their own. Listen, for 6 years, I worked in medical equipment. I worked with people who were profoundly disabled. It's certainly not their fault. They are not morally evil for being disabled. However, if you look at a society, they can't support anybody. They need to be supported. So how can we support them if we have nothing? They are not more valuable than someone else. Some people might want to argue that everyone is equally valuable. I disagree with that. If you're going to value someone societally, it would be how much does that person contribute to the society? How many people are they taking care of in the form of jobs, in the form of, because also corporations, business owners tend to be the most charitable because they have excess, because they run a business on a profit. They run efficiently. They have competition. Even in the market that we exist in, which is a mixed economy, which is a bullshit economy, it's not a free market, but it has some freedoms, no matter how much they want to take those things away. So the businessman is really, I would say, the business women, the business people are the most moral. They're the most valuable, at least. We don't know individually, how they're living, if they're moral or immoral. But you certainly shouldn't think that because someone is wealthy, they are bad, and that they're gonna. And then we rely on them. Hey, you have lots of money. Why don't you solve all of our problems? Because we can't figure it out. And they can help us through education, through hiring, through training, not through handouts. Come on. And I know there's a lot of arguments. Oh, we don't want handouts. We want hands up. Great. We can all agree on that. Now you're not morally obligated to do so, but you'll find that people, for me, I used to be depressed. I used to cut myself. I was suicidal. I wanted to die. I hated my life. I thought there would be nothing great in my future. As I learned about the concepts of positive psychology, if you have 3 positive experiences for every 1 negative, you'll be on a positive upward movement. As I figured out how to work with my finances and how to have a surplus and how to have a nest egg and a safety net of finances. What do? I don't just hoard it to myself and not tell anyone about it. I share the information freely. And do people take it? Mostly no. Mostly people, they'd like to continue doing what they're doing. But I'm certainly not keeping that. The more money I have, the more charitable I am. The more knowledge I have, the more I teach. Not necessarily every single person is going to be that way, but it's not because I have to. It's not because I need to sacrifice those things. Those aren't sacrifices to me. It's what I want to do. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel valuable. It is valuable. It shows my value. I enjoy that. I like feeling valuable. I like having self-esteem. I like being confident. I like being proud. I hear people say, well, volunteering and giving to charity is completely negated if you brag about it. How? In what way has the behavior that they did where they went and they served at the soup kitchen or they donated $1,000 to some charity, how is that negated by them talking about it and being proud of themselves? Why is pride a sin? This is ludicrous. Listen to yourselves, think about it. And I know you didn't come up with the idea yourself. Your mommy taught you and, your priest or whoever, like you learn these things from others, but it's time to put an end to it. When we use our brain for like 5 seconds, we look at this problem, or how long has it been? 20 minutes. We can say, you know what? There is something fundamentally wrong about that. Why do we think that it's so bad to be proud of the good things that we've done? If I'm like, hey, look, I helped people. I didn't need to do that. I did that. It made me feel good. And now they're helped. Everybody's happy, right? Oh, no, we're not happy because you talked about it. You're supposed to do it in secret so that people don't realize how good you are, because we're trying to make you out to be the villain because you have excess. Thank you, Omega. Owning a business is not for the faint of heart. I've had lots of sleepless nights. Well, yeah, because the world's on your shoulders. You know what I mean? You're paying other people's paychecks. You have competition. You have other people trying to do what you're doing, trying to do it better, trying to do it cheaper. So you're always, and this is good for us because it makes us better. It makes us want to do better, be better, look better, feel better, live longer. All these things are good motivators. They're not evil. And that's pretty much the summary, I would say, of this book. She gets into a lot of the nitty gritty. I think I pretty much touched on, let's see. She talks about scholarships and like government programs. So the way that she views this is, if someone is taking your money by force and then they're offering you some way of getting that money back, there's no moral wrong in taking the money back. So if you pay your taxes and then you qualify for Medicaid or Social Security, if you paid into the Social Security system your whole life and you retire, you don't have to forego your Social Security payments, right? You paid into that. It's your money coming back to you. You're getting basically like restitution, like what the slaves wanted when they weren't slaves anymore. They're like, yo, what do we get? Like, you just treated us like, terrible, horrible humans and stole labor from us, which is very valuable for hundreds of years. Like, what do we get? And that's a fair question. That's an absolutely fair question. What do we get? To figure out, like, I did my part, what do I get in turn? So that's really important to understand, because I've heard the only criticism I've really ever heard from a liberal that even knows who Ayn Rand is that she accepted Social Security payments in her old age. So there's the answer to that. Secondly, she talks about scholarships. Scholarships, or let's say charity in general. She says that as long as the charity or the scholarship is based on merit, right? Something where it's like, this is because you've done something good. You've proved that you deserve a hand up. Then you're perfectly fine to take it. But if you're getting a scholarship because you're black, because you're a woman, because of these things that really don't, let me get these things that you really didn't have control over. You didn't choose this. You're not more special because you're black or because you're a woman or because, whatever reasons they try to just like give people stuff. That's not valid. Those aren't moral scholarships and charities, because it's not based on any kind of value. This person, like, if you just, it's like the argument for like homeless people. You give them $10, they don't understand how to manage their finances. You haven't really helped them. Yeah, if you fed them, yeah, you helped them for sure. Great. If that money went towards food or whatever, great. However, spending time with them, teaching them, these things are probably a lot more valuable. It's the whole concept of you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, or you can teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. So I personally think that teaching is one of the more valuable things you can do rather than just giving someone something. Now, if somebody's trying to start a business and they have nothing and you give them money to start their business up, fine. There's, as long as there's some reason for it, right? Somebody needs food, you give them money for food, okay, but they didn't learn how to get their own money, so now they just need you to give them money again tomorrow, or someone else to give them money tomorrow. We haven't really helped them to escape from that horrible trap that they're in as a homeless person, or whatever type of, whether they're homeless or they're in a shelter or they're living paycheck to paycheck and they're in crippling debt from credit cards. A lot of this is similar, right? By just giving this person money, they're probably, if they haven't managed their money so far very well, what makes you think that giving them money, that's not what they need. They need the information. We live in the age of information. Information is the most valuable thing. Interesting, Pablo. Why do you think that? Regardless though, Josh, even if they did it just for the accolades, you still got the gift, right? So even if you don't like what their intention was, you still got the benefit. So it doesn't negate it. Serve. Even the concept of being a servant isn't the right idea. You have to learn how to serve other people because they're more important than you. You know what I mean? Like a servant usually isn't getting paid a fair amount. So even the concept of a servant is not really, I don't think, the right concept. The homeless guy needs self-esteem, right? He probably doesn't feel good about himself, or the homeless girl, whoever, right? The single mom who slept with a crackhead and had a baby out of, and now he's nowhere in the picture and she can barely support the child, and and she is gonna have low self-esteem. She's gonna look at her life and realize she made bad choices, and that's good. That's how we learn. We can't just be like, oh no, it's okay if you make lots of mistakes, we're just gonna brush that over and just give you everything you need. No, you have to feel the pain so that you learn what is a mistake and what is wrong, so that you can then not do that again. Because when you incentivize people to have lots of kids because they get lots of free food for doing so, that's not helping them. And it's certainly not helping those kids. It's really fucked up, actually, what happens to those kids in most situations. So we gotta look at this. We gotta think about this and say, is this really helping these people? Or is it making us feel better because, oh, well, we gave them money, so now we're off the hook. We did that, so now the rest is on them. Well, we didn't really teach them anything, Teaching is key. That was weird. Congratulations, you received 100 messages. Hey, Saul. Service for money. Well, a service in an economic standpoint is an intangible good, right? So you have goods and services, products and services. So you have products like clothes and food and technology, computers. And then you have services like consultation, management, yoga teaching, as I do. There's a teacher in general is a service-based business. A doctor is a service-based business. So if you're talking about that, if you're talking about working and you provide a service for money, okay, providing a service, not that you are a servant, right? The doctor is not enslaved to their patients. They are not obligated. Actually, by the Hippocratic Oath, they kind of are, which actually puts doctors in a pretty weird position. Really weird position. I have a friend who's a doctor, and he says every time he flies, he's like, oh my God, I hope something doesn't happen to someone on this plane because I have taken an oath that I must go fix that person and try to work with that person. No matter what my plans are or what I had going on, it's my responsibility now. It's like one of the worst responsibilities in the world. Then people are like, oh, doctors have too much money. It's like, it's just crazy. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Window cleaning. Cleaning would be a service. Yep, cleaning is an intangible service, kind of. A little bit. It's kind of like a borderline because you need products to do it. But yeah, I would say cleaning is a service. So sure, cleaning. Yeah, window cleaning is probably not going to like really be the thing that gets you out of homelessness though. You know, how much is someone going to pay you to do that? You know, learning a skill, like learning a technical skill, like this person actually learning how to program, that could free them from homelessness for sure. You know, or whatever, teaching them to be a doctor or a lawyer or something where they could really, you know, something that's really highly valued and makes good money. Teaching them to clean windows, I mean, you know, maybe you're going to get them to living paycheck to paycheck, like being hungry most of the time and you know, barely getting by and not being able to have anything, any luxury goods and any free time. But that's not really the goal here, guys. We got to think way next step than that. We're not trying to get people from square zero to square one, right? We want to elevate everyone way past just getting by. Of course, Tracy, of course you have to survive. But it is really not your moral responsibility to provide food and water to people that don't have it, with the exception of your children. You can choose to do so. Of course, right? It'd be pretty hard for those of us who have extra food and water to just not provide it to somebody who needed it, right? But that's not really what's happening. Really, that's not really the argument that's happening for people, right? Poor people don't have food, so they need food stamps. Okay, so they're incentivized to be poor to get free food. There's so much to get into here. So I wanted to say one thing too that she also talks about in this book, which is racism and the concept of ethnicity, and grouping people based on the way they were born, and how that's a big failure. You know, saying like, oh, we're gonna help the Black community by XYZ, because not every Black person has the same values, desires, goals. They're not at the same status. Same thing with women. Not all women want or need the same things. So you can't really provide a service based on something that is, they didn't have any control over this. You know, if you're doing something based on like an occupation, something someone chose and is trained in, obviously has an interest in, then yeah, you know, they're going to have a lot more similar needs. I don't know about that, Josh. Maybe. I doubt it. I mean, maybe you don't make very much money. I don't know. As a VP in a company, we were trying to use contract workers to avoid benefits. Yeah, smart. We also found ways to let senior staff go to lower payroll and hire junior staff. No allegiance to employees. Yeah, there's no moral responsibility to be allegiant to somebody. Your allegiance to your business is profit. You know, it's on people to create their own value. It's not on you to say, well, you've been here the longest, so therefore you get the most. That's ridiculous. That's not capitalism, Pablo, as you already stated. I feel like I'm only seeing the YouTube comments. Sorry, people on Periscope. Maybe if I made this screen wider, I could catch more. Maybe, I don't know. It's only showing like 4 comments at a time. So she talks about how even the concept of ethnicity basically just traps people in racist beliefs. And it pits people against each other based on the way they look or the way they were born, which is unfair and not helpful. Again, not helpful. So people might think, oh, well, you're just like, you know, a selfish bitch or whatever. So I'm starting a volunteer opportunity right now. I'm in training to become a volunteer for basically kids who have been removed from their homes because of neglect or abuse, and their parents are maybe trying to get them back. They're in the foster care system, and it's really just a really shitty situation for them. And why am I choosing to help them? Because it's not their fault. I realize there's some people it's not their fault, but not everyone. Not every poor person is just a victim. You know, and thinking that and not every Black person is a victim either, right? Like, we have to start realizing that not everyone wants to be treated or viewed like victims. You know, these are human people that have plenty of potential and brains that they can use if given the opportunity to do so. But being completely crippled by, I would say, the government system more than anything else. You know, what businesses go out and hurt you? Like, what business, does Walmart come to your door and just take your money? No, Walmart gives you access to the cheapest goods possible, you know? So But the government takes, what, 30% of your income for the poor people, right? But you're the poor person, right? You feel like it. I know you do. I know you're out there living paycheck to paycheck thinking, yeah, I got to pay 30% of my paycheck. I got to do my part, take care. You know how inefficient the governmental systems are that are supposed to provide services for these people? You know how much the bureaucrats get paid to administer these programs? It is not what it seems. Things are not as they seem. Maybe that's like the overarching concept here, is people want to hide their turd in this nice fluffy bun. You know, yummy, bite into this. It's gonna be great. It's gonna taste like shit, because it is shit. Half your income, yeah. It could be 50% if you're earning more. But even like the lowest like rungs of the socioeconomic status, they still have to pay a minimum, I would say 15%. And that's probably not just income tax. I could look up the scale, but there's income tax, Social Security, property tax if you're a homeowner. What else am I missing here? Medicare, Social Security, did I say that already? Did I miss anything? Unemployment? You have to pay an unemployment tax, right? Hi Lance, how are you? If you count all the different taxes. Right, yeah, and then there's obviously other taxes like sales tax, consumption taxes. I have a boyfriend. Okay, let's see, did she touch on anything else in here I want to talk about before I go? She talks about religion, we got into that. The intellectual bankruptcy of our age. Think, people, come on, think. Think. I didn't always think this way. You have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to change what you think based on just, what is your mind telling you? This makes a lot of sense? Okay, then go towards the direction of things that make sense. The employer does pay it, Voss. The employer pays pretty much the same amount that you pay for all of those things, they pay as well. You're paying 50% of the actual tax. Who gives them that power, Pablo? You cannot blame the business for the government being subject to lobbying and giving them power. And then you have like antitrust laws. Oh no, a business isn't allowed to be a monopoly, but the government is the biggest and most abusive monopoly of all time. But that's fine. That's fine. The business people are the evil ones, right? Come on, open your eyes, people. Open them up wide. Hey, Raven, how are you? She gets into a lot of specific events that were happening at the time. She talks about Vietnam. She talks about Apollo 11. She was actually there for the launching of Apollo 11, putting a man on the moon. She just really kind of like worshipped that amazing feat of man, and talks about how, you know, it's like people want, I said this to my boyfriend earlier actually, it's like people idolize nature. They're like, oh, I wish we could just go back to nature. You see all these cities and you're just like, oh, you know, I just want to like live in a hut. It's like, you don't want to live in a fucking hut. You know how cold it is, you know how hot it is, like, do you know how amazing the technological advances of mankind have made your life? You don't want to give that up. Trust me. Maybe some of you, but you also might be mentally ill. And I'd study psychology. I'm not a therapist, so I don't know if I'm certified to say that. I'm just saying you might be. Check with a doctor. There's a few people that really want to just live off the land, and most of them that I've met are on drugs, a lot of drugs, ecstasy, you know, hallucinogens, things that are blurring their concept of reality. Biomega. I don't know, Nick. How would I know that? I don't know if the election was stolen. I would literally have no way of knowing that. I'm a regular person just like you guys. I just use my brain and the mouthpieces that I have available to me to speak. Thank you for the 2 more likes on YouTube. I wouldn't go on Survivor. Probably not, nah. If they wanted me to go on Survivor, I probably would to have the experience, but I'm pretty sure I'd get medically removed. I only weigh about 100 pounds. And I'm not very strong in general, physically strong. You know, my brain's super strong. My body is, I could do the puzzles. But on no food, I'm not so sure. They paid SS and Medicare and I had to match that contribution. Unemployment as well, right? Oh, hi. How are you, Naya Bingy? All right. representation without authorization. I love that concept. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Do I have faith in our election process? That's a loaded question. I don't know. Do I have faith in our election process? What, like an idealized version of it? I actually have a hard time. And one criticism I'll give of this book, because I'm obviously, biased towards just loving Ayn Rand, so it's difficult for me to criticize a lot of the concepts. One criticism that I will give is related to something someone just said. I got distracted by new comments. The election process, is who should be able to vote in our elections. She didn't really get into that. She did talk about how the right to vote is not the ability to vote is not a right. Like, you have to basically be a thinking person. You have to have the information in order, it's a huge responsibility. So if people took that responsibility seriously and studied before voting and really made rational, logical choices, then that would be a great process. It would make a lot of sense. That's not the society that we live in at present. The majority isn't superiorly, well, I guess they couldn't be superior, right, if the majority, but the majority of people don't have the time because they're too busy working for the man, right? I am live. Hi, Gary. How are you? Yeah, I've been live every single day for almost 4 years straight now. 1 month, it'll be 4 years of this craziness. We've been talking about Ayn Rand pretty much from the beginning. Hi, Laura. And if you're not into this, don't worry. I read lots of other kinds of books too, mostly nonfiction, things about wealth, finance, business, things about parenting. I'm a new stepmom, so I like to learn about parenting as well. Self-development, psychological, self-help type books, all that kind of stuff. How do I think the earth and all of life got here then? I'm not going to pretend like I know the answer to that question. I'm doing good, Gary. I'm actually just about to sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed this review and summary of Ayn Rand's The Voice of Reason, Essays in Objectivist Thought. Whether you agree or disagree, I'd love to see your comments on my YouTube video. You can also check out all of my other book reviews on my book review playlist on my YouTube channel. Same username as on Periscope, NEXJUICE. I'll be back tomorrow with more positive content. Yeah, Pablo, we'll have to discuss further because I'm in disagreement with you on that. I'm not in disagreement that she didn't portray that, but I'm in disagreement with you that that is actually a problem. That is such a cute question. Let me read this to you guys because some of you are on YouTube. Basically anything but the Bible, LOL. I've read the Bible. Just putting that out there. I was an evangelical Christian for a good part of my life, and I'm really smart, so I was really good at it. I regret it. I sincerely regret anyone that I converted to Christianity, but yeah, I've read the Bible, so please don't jump to conclusions because the Bible isn't one of the books that I just listed off the top of my head of genres of books that I read. Basically anything but the Bible. LOL. Wow, so you don't even care how we got here and why it matters? I think that what matters is that we're here and we should use our superior logic and reason to navigate the world and to figure out answers to those questions if we're interested in them. Yep, I was evangelical, believe it or not. I thought that the highest calling for me in life was to convert people to Christianity. And I'm so, so glad I learned that. I did read Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut, but it was a lot of nonsense to me. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. I'm reading Anthem, and it's a little bit similar. It reminds me a lot of George Orwell's 1984, but I liked 1984. I didn't like Cat's Cradle, so I'm not really a fan of Vonnegut. It's the only one I read, though. Yeah, literary prowess, but had differing views. Yeah, no, I actually would disagree with that. Ayn Rand writes much more coherently than Kurt Vonnegut. He writes a bit pretentiously, in my opinion. Hi, Pablo. I'm just about to sign off. It's good to see you, though. Hi, Katie. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the good conversation. Challenging me. Definitely don't feel like you have to agree with me by any means. I actually learn a lot more from people that disagree from me. And I hope to see you guys on the next juice. This has been a Moment in Time with Taylor. Hope I made you think a little bit. You got me thinking a bit. And I'll see you tomorrow. Remember, you are worthy of being loved and feeling comfortable in your own skin. And hey, if you play Fortnite, I got this creator code a couple days ago. If you want to support me that way, I just love this graphic. I just want to show it off because I paid $7 for it. And I'm also on Twitch. I stream every single day on Twitch as well. Same username over there. I also have a private Instagram group that I go live in, a much smaller, intimate group of people. If you'd like access to that, it's nextjuice.com/support. Become a monthly supporter of this channel, and you'll have access to the Instagram account, the private Instagram account. I have a public one as well, same username. And what else do we have? Oh my God, Lee, were you the one in here yesterday talking about how the reason people are sick is because they don't accept the return of Yahweh? Why did I even entertain anything you said tonight? I apologize to anyone whose time I wasted talking to that person. Hi, Jose. Hi, John. I'm just signing off. But yeah, help me to keep this channel going at nextjuice.com/support. You can do one-time payments as well. If you don't want to do the monthlies, I have an Amazon wish list. You can do my GoFundMe, helping me pay my way through school. This is the last semester. This is the last week of my first semester of my bachelor's degree program. I'm majoring in psychology. I want to become a licensed professional counselor so I can help people with mental health. Since, as I mentioned, I used to cut myself and be really depressed and suicidal, and I think that I know a lot of things now that can help other people dealing with that in their life now, but I lack the credentials to do so. So because of the government, I must go to school and learn completely pointless, useless crap and spend thousands of dollars to learn it. It's, say it with me, I've said it a lot tonight, it's bullshit. But you can help me get through that by supporting, even if it's just $5 over at the website nextjuice.com. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Sleep well.